I've been waiting for this. I'm 46. I've been waiting 46 years to hear this. What is the answer to life?
It's 42.
Well,
It's 42.
only if you watch the Hitchhiker's Guide to the I forgot the whole title.
Read it. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes, ma'am.
Enough sleep.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but sleep does. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about your journey, and I wanted to talk to you about the journey of opportunities, because right now you're young. You probably already had quite a few opportunities come along, and maybe you didn't see them, maybe you did, maybe you took them. One of them you took, you went to college, and another opportunity was you decided to come to SIU. And that's a huge, huge opportunity that you have right now. Granted, you've got a lot of things coming up, and you got a lot of things going on, testing, and you've got professors, and you've got students and group projects. Every last one of those are opportunities that you don't even see yet. And I will tell you that I know that because I've been there many times. These opportunities are going to help shape your story. And that's what I kind of wanted to talk with you guys today. Is I wanted to share my story with you because where I was when you were there and a little bit before, everything afterwards to this day right here, even this experience is going to shape how I do things in the future. So I want to start out by saying I was a short little fat kid. Oh my gosh, I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but do you know how hard it is to be a short little fat kid in school? I mean, my gosh, it was incredibly challenging and hard, and that was in the 70s. I know that's a time none of you could fathom, but it was challenging enough in the 70s to not have any style, to be chubby, and the only place that your parents would allow you to go buy any clothing, your pants were called Husky. Husky jeans. Now I know we have some, you shook your head. Do you remember Husky jeans? Yeah, skinny guy. So my journey started with being a child, being a short little pudgy kid. My parents were divorced. I went to 9 different schools back and forth between Kansas and South Dakota. We moved a little bit to Oregon. I was the new kid almost everywhere I went. New kid, short pudgy kid. It was not fun. Not fun at all. Did not make friends easy. Life was challenging. Life was really hard. My best friend growing up was the librarian. I went to the library that was literally down our alley to go to the library. It was a block away, but I would cut out of the back, go out of the alley, and go to the librarian. She would give me these most amazing books to read, mostly science fiction, biographies on like the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot. I was always fascinated by mysteries, but those were the things that I really enjoyed. So being the new kid really sucked for me, sucked a lot. And I didn't know at the ages of 10 to kind of 16 what to do. And I retreated to music. I retreated to myself. I kind of created my own world. And I didn't really experience life. I did it through books and TV and video games back when they were 8-bit, not cool stuff like they are today. So I go through life, I go through high school, and I decided I wanted to do one thing. My dad and my uncles were all in the military. The military was huge for us. This short, pudgy kid, even though I didn't believe I could do or be much, I wanted to be in the military. My dad and my uncles were all Navy, and that was they told me these amazing stories, some that I cannot share with you because there's a lot of profanity. But I will tell you this. What we wanted was to serve our country, and that was instilled in my family. You went into the military to serve your country. So that was my first experience of hearing the word serve over and over and over. I still didn't know what it meant. I just wanted to protect my family, my friends, people I didn't even know. And I knew that was in me, and that's all I thought about. So I had dreams of being, Top Gun came out, so I wanted to be a cool Air Force pilot and have a cool nickname like Maverick. But that didn't happen. Glasses, contacts, couldn't see. So I went through all the branches. Of course, my family wanted me to be Navy, not a water person. So I decided that I wanted to go into the Army, and I took a position in satellite communications. So it was 31 Sierra was a title for it, And I was able to connect, back then, it's kind of embarrassing to say now, faxes, phones, and basic internet to battalions through our satellite van. So my job was to connect to the satellite, establish these links, and provide these services to officers and sergeants and sergeant majors so they can make decisions and communicate. Our life expectancy in actual real-time war was like 0.8 seconds because that's the first thing that they take out is communications, right? So we have this big 20-foot dish, easy to see, and then we have these smaller ones, these 8-foot dishes that we would go out and do. I had the opportunity to serve in the United States Army for 4.5 years. It is, as you will find later, the defining moment in my life. It was what made me who I am today. It gave me the foundation of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to believe in, and where I wanted to go. I just didn't know all of that just yet though. I thought it was cool to be with a bunch of guys and women, play soldier, go to places, exotic places like South Korea, and Saudi Arabia. So I was in during the very end of Desert Storm back in 92 to 96. Never saw combat, provided support, so I have to make sure to tell everybody, I'm just a normal soldier. I had a great job, I served my country, went to two different countries and came back to America. Nothing wrong, one piece, all body parts, everything's fine, and there's a lot of us out there. Not everybody that comes back has PTSD. Not everybody that comes back is missing anything, but those brothers and sisters, our hearts go out to them and we support them. And that's the other thing that I learned while I was in the military, is that we are a family like no other family. We give each other a lot of crap, we give each other a lot of grief. In fact, to be honest, I just started back at the gym for this is week 2, with one of my Marine buddies, and he has been motivating me. He's this short little guy, Marine, but he is insane. We had ab workout today, so I don't ask me to pick anything up because if I bend over, I'm not going to get back up. But that's what I'm talking about. Even though we're in different branches, we're a family. And that was very important to me too later on as I develop into my career and careers as I go on. So I go from high school to military, and then I get out, and I'm devastated. I'm devastated. Guess what? Real world's not like the military. Whoa, I know it's hard to believe, but it isn't. I was missing out on a lot of opportunities because I wanted it to be the military. I wanted it to be the camaraderie, know the person's job above and below you. No matter what happens, if we didn't like each other, we still got the mission done. And we would go home, have a drink, whatever it might be, celebrate, and enjoy life and move on. When I got out, it's not what I got. Actually, my first job was at Office Max. Had a great leader, had a great boss who ran the store, but it still wasn't what I wanted. And I think that many of you are going to end up as you go into some of these externs and you go into some of your jobs, it might not be what you wanted. However, I got opportunities to meet people that planted seeds in me that I didn't know were going to grow and help me to get where I was going. Because I'm going to be honest, other than sleep, many of you probably have no clue where you're going, and it's difficult and it's challenging, and it's okay. Right now, what I hope you focus on are just the opportunities. You don't have to have the answers and solutions, but when you go into these positions and these places, everything, if you start to think that it's down or it's hard or it's difficult, those are opportunities. Capitalize on it. If you get the worst, and it's not gonna happen, right?
No.
If you get the worst extern experience, because it's not gonna happen, she'll make sure of that, there's opportunity there. Some of the best things that I learned later were some of the worst jobs I've ever had. And it wasn't because I didn't go in and keep learning, it was because I kept seeing the opportunities of what not to do, right? Those opportunities shape us. They tell our story, they tell our brand. So I get out of the military and I go into the real world and I decide to go back to school. I have this money from the GI Bill, so I'm gonna go. So with the satellite communications background, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go into computer programming, great. Start out at John A. Logan, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I wanna be in a cubicle the rest of my life. I happen to be volunteering and staying with a family that adopted me here in Southern Illinois, and they were teachers, they were educators. Those educators asked me to come in and volunteer. So I did. So guess what I ended up changing my major to? Anybody? Education. I became a teacher. I transferred from John A. Logan to SIU. I got my teaching degree. And I taught in Heron, 5th grade, for 6 years. I taught kindergarten through 8th grade technology classes at Unity Point for 3. And I taught 3 semesters here at SIU in the Intro to Education department. I loved it because they said I was the weeding out one. I had to help them decide if they wanted to be in education or not. So I was young enough to connect with them, but at the same time, I could tell them what the real world was in education. Now, even though I went through education, and you saw that pattern of 6, 3, and 3 semesters, it wasn't that it wasn't for me. I loved it, and I would go back, and I get asked to go back and teach all the time. It wasn't my journey. I knew it in my heart. So I decided to go completely opposite, and for the first time I said, you know what? I'm going for the money. I'm going for the money. Not to say there's no money in education, but I'm going for the money. So I took a position at Walker's Bluff as their Chief Information Officer. So I did infrastructure, loved it. It was a challenging. It was one of those jobs that helped me define what I wanted and what I didn't want to do. It wasn't a good fit for me, I found. I'm a soldier at heart. You give me a mission, I will complete that mission if it kills me. That's just how I am. I will die completing the mission. I won't die because people will always pick me up and make sure that I keep going. But I'm going to make it happen. That's just me and my nature. So it wasn't the best job for me, but I learned a little bit more about business. So remember, I've got military experience, I've got education, and now I've got some business experience behind me. What are my degrees? Or I have education. My master's is in educational administration. I'm taking all these experiences, and unbeknownst to me, I am a very faithful and religious person. I will say that God put me on that path. Doesn't have to be that for everybody. Either way, your path is what you make it, and you just might not see it yet. And that's the beauty of it. But these opportunities that I keep saying over and over, they are there. If you see them, if you open up your heart and your mind to see them. So I decide to go business. Then I decide the craziest thing ever, which I've never done. Hey, I'm gonna start my own business. I have no MBA. I have no background in business. I don't really, other than in Boy Scouts, we sold stuff. I can't remember what we sold. I think we sold popcorn. I think they still sell popcorn. So we sold popcorn.
They do.
So I have that experience of selling. Accounting, don't even start, right? I can do a checkbook, I can do basic stuff. But I went for it anyways. I used resources at SIU, the SBDC, Small Business Development Center. I took a boot camp, they called it a boot camp, so I knew it was right. A boot camp for business owners. I won a small grant to start my business, and then I just kept learning, and I kept reading, I kept making mistakes, I kept pivoting, and I kept trying to get to a point where my business could take off. So I started Harness Digital Marketing, and it was a time where I was on social media, I quit social media, and then I came back to start this business. I don't have any background in marketing either, by the way. All I did was research, get myself out there, talk to experts, and see if it was something that I could do. And I started it, oh my gosh, we're on 7 years ago. And it was a honeymoon period, right? Where you talk about, oh, what's our logo look like? And what are we gonna call ourselves? And what kind of marketing are we gonna do, right? That was over pretty quick when the reality set in as soon as I hired my first employee. And my second. And my third. And my fourth. And then we cut back to 3. And then we cut back to 2. And then we go back to 3. And we go back to 4. And now we have 4. And we have 2 part-time, and we'll have a extern at our place as well. So when business started, it was a whole new world, and I thought, I can't do this. So guess where my brain went? Back to the military. And then I'm like, I don't have enough knowledge. I don't know if I can train these people. How am I supposed to be a leader? Guess where my brain went back to? Being an educator. I went back and used all those previous experiences to help me get to that next level. Now I will tell you, without a doubt, I'm where I'm supposed to be as far as my business goes. I love my team. I don't call them employees. That's just a military person in me. I don't like them to call me boss. I don't know what they call me, but it's not boss. Leader sounds a little weird, but we are a team. We are an absolute team. Then I will tell you one short, quick story on year 3. Year 3 was horrible. Was absolute horrible. Everybody decided they didn't want to do business with us. They were going to go the cheap route. It was horrible. And I had to decide, am I all in or am I done? Or do I just belly up? And most businesses belly up around year 3. I read that. I knew that. So I prayed and I talked to friends and we went over financials, and it was, do I invest a little bit more money in my business and go all in and say, once I say I'm all in, I'm all in. There's no going back. How many of you are Indiana Jones fans? Okay, how many of you saw The Last Crusade? Okay, remember at the very end, Indiana Jones is great because he's got all these things he's got to figure out. But he comes to this little cliff thing and he looks out and he reads this passage. And if I really did this great, I would have memorized that passage. He looks out and it's like, oh my gosh. And it's like not the penance, but something about takes a leap of faith. And he does this thing where he puts this foot out like this. And I will tell you, year 3, and this is a stage in entrepreneurism, there's a stage, true entrepreneurs, they just step off and they realize there is something there. There is something to take them to the next step. And once I did that, I was an entrepreneur, I was a business owner, and I wasn't looking back. The only thing I saw moving forward were opportunities and solutions. There was no blaming. There was no, why did this happen to me? This is the client's fault. This is that. No. Solutions, opportunities. That's all I saw. I conditioned my mind that that's all I was going to have. I wish I had that back when I was going to school and some other things, because I didn't. I didn't see everything as an opportunity and a solution. I saw it as, this is cutting into my weekend. I can't go out and have fun with my friends, and oh my gosh, I'm going to have to pay for this and the books and I got too wrapped up in all of that, and I didn't focus on what I was going to get, which was an opportunity to create something further. So the business goes great, everything's fine, and then guess what happens? Personal life comes to play. Oh my gosh. Yeah, don't forget, you have a personal life too, right? You got school and there's family. Don't forget your families. Phil, don't forget your families. All right. I had a life-changing personal experience. My daughter got me one Christmas Ancestry DNA. She thought it'd be cool to learn more about our history. What was amazing was when we took this, and this is a whole nother long story that some of them got to hear. But what happened was, I found out that the dad that raised me was not my dad. And it shook the whole fabric of my world. But remember, I'm seeing opportunities. I keep seeing opportunities. So we find out who my biological dad is, an amazing man named Dr. Saul White Jr. I got to see him twice. He was a physician, and he passed away last year, but he serviced over 1,000 kids in Watts, California, before there was the Watts riots. He is Creole, part African American, so that was a big surprise when I got my ancestry DNA, and 25% came from Africa. My sister that I met, Erin, she reached out to me and was convinced that we were related. So we connected, we tracked down, we found out that we had the same dad. And I tell you this because for many people, this would be devastating. Just for a second, imagine finding out your parents weren't your parents. It's hard. But you know what? I found it exciting, I found it exhilarating, and I found it as an opportunity. And the more I learned about my family, my history, I was no different. I was the same person, but let me tell you what it did to me. Yeah, I get goosebumps right now. It ignited me. I found out who I was, my genetics, my family, my history, and they were amazing. And they had so much of the same character that I had that I felt empowered to step up my game. And most people at that time thought, my gosh, I can't imagine Tom any higher than what he was. And they will say, what happened to you? I'm like, this is what happened. My biological dad was making a difference. He served his community. He served more than what he was. And I appreciated that. And that's why, as I finished up this last part, that's what empowered me to serve on city council and run. And that's why in Carterville, that's why I decided to be, we're called aldermen, but most people don't know what aldermen and alderwomen are. If you're from Chicago, you have those. It's more of a city thing than it is a southern thing. But I'm city councilman. I ran and I won. Not only because of my background and history, but because it empowered me. I saw it as an opportunity. Many things happen through our lives, many. Good, bad, mediocre. Sometimes we just get in a rut. But we have opportunities presented to us every day. We have opportunities. We can't see them. We forget them. We ignore them. We lie to ourselves sometimes that we have them. Oh no, I don't have opportunity. No, we do. Everybody has opportunity. Everybody. So that's what I wanted to kind of let you know today, is a little bit about your journey. And as you think about that, yours is just beginning. It's going to be a beautiful one. It's going to be an amazing one. And it's going to have a lot of ups and downs. But as you go through this, you will learn so much about yourselves. You will learn about what you're capable of and how far you can go and what you can be. And what you're going to be today is definitely not going to be the person you are when you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And that is a good thing, as long as you keep taking these opportunities to advance and to learn and to grow, because that's what we really need to do. So I'm going to leave on this part right here where I wanted to make sure I said this exactly how I wanted. Don't let actions and others tell you your story or put you on a path your heart and mind say are wrong. Go out, and it's that simple. Just go out. All in, go out. And I wouldn't be military if I didn't end on something that's somewhat of a controversy. So I have this saying, as you go out there, get shit done. Thank you.